Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for checking out this video here on Shows, Style, and Spirit. I'm Ebony, of course, and I wanted to go over some highlights of the first two episodes of season 7 of The Real Housewives of Potomac. I'm sure that you would agree that Potomac has been consistently entertaining. I feel like each season it just gets better, and I just really enjoy the show. So let's jump right on in. So, in episode 1, we see the women who have been on the show the longest, Karen, Giselle, Robin, and Ashley, meet up in a park. It was a beautiful scene with the Japanese cherry blossoms, and they question Mia's health scare as just a cry for attention. So I feel like there's multiple things happening when it comes to Mia, of course. I feel like perhaps her wording made it seem a lot more definitive than what it was. And then I don't feel like I can necessarily prove that she just wanted to deceive the public and have all of us concerned for her. I was concerned for her. I don't want anyone to be sick, whether or not I know you personally or if I don't really care for you. That's not anything that enhances my life. So I wouldn't want anyone to be ill. So her message did come off as if she had gotten definitive news from her doctor that she was sick. So I am glad that it sounds like Mia is not really that sick, but yeah, I do feel like it was a little bit confusing. And perhaps I'm not going to say that she would really play us like that to that extreme with something so serious. I'm going to have faith that Mia used the wrong words. Yeah, we'll go with that. And then, of course, also the ladies were asking Ashley questions about her divorce. Of course, Giselle's interrogation is what I call it. Hers is going to always be on 10, particularly when someone's relationship is faltering. Then she's really like hammering her questions, being aggressive. I don't know if Giselle does it. Like a lot of people say, oh, Giselle attacks marriages, she attacks relationships. But I look at it like, is it kicking someone when she thinks they're down? Is she being super aggressive with someone when she thinks that they are down, that they are sad, that they are embarrassed? So then she's going to act like an even bigger butthole. But this is just the beginning in this scene with Giselle questioning Ashley. So next, we see Candace and Chris meeting up with a fertility doctor about Candace freezing her eggs. So she is not closed off to becoming a mom, which I always thought she was. I thought that she just did not have the nerve to say publicly, hey, I don't want any kids, because she did not want the world judging her. I do feel like society globally feels like if you're a woman, then you should automatically have the desire to have children and you should have kids. Some people don't even listen to you. I remember like over 5 years ago, closer to 10 years ago, telling my god sister, I don't want any kids. And she said, oh, you should at least have one. Like, to me, that's just like not normal. Like if I'm saying I don't have a desire to do something, I should not do it just to do it. That sounds extremely unhealthy. But, that's the kind of reactions that women will get when they are honest about like not wanting kids. So I knew like pretty young that that just wasn't going to be my thing. So anyway, kudos to Candace about freezing her eggs. So just in case the time comes up where she can really go for it and become a mom, she has her healthy eggs frozen. So I thank her for sharing that with us and for being so brave in doing it. So next we see Wendy and Peter having a business meeting. Wendy is interested in opening up a Nigerian lounge. Peter Thomas says that for $300,000, Wendy would be a 20% owner. Now, I don't know about you, but I love watching Shark Tank. Shark Tank is the business reality TV show where there is a panel of investors. These are millionaires who have the disposable cash to invest in your business. You have to prove to them with numbers that your business is already selling, and you have to explain why you need some extra cash from them. And it should be for growth because you already have a demand for the future with your product. So with that being said, Peter is already putting a value on a future Nigerian lounge being worth 1.5 million. 300,000 is a huge investment to just be a 20% owner on something that is not already existing and is not already bringing in cash. And any economist or economy teacher or professor will teach you that ideally, typically, usually, when you start a business, you're breaking even for the first year and a half to 2 years. So it could be 2.5 years at least before Wendy starts to see some of her money coming back to her as a return. So it just seems like a super risky investment. And then to top that off, I'm sorry, Peter, but we've seen your history with businesses, your track record on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. When we were first introduced to you and Cynthia Bailey during season 3, we learned that when the recession hit this country, you lost your restaurant Uptown. Now, I know that that was mostly not your fault. Many moms and pops businesses closed during the recession. So we totally get that. But then thereafter, there was bar one. If you ask Miss Lawrence, season 4, he called it bar none, honey. And then, that closed. I believe it was an issue where the landlord was not paying the mortgage, but was constantly taking Peter's monthly rent. This was according to Peter Thomas. That sucked as well. And then, he started bars in North Carolina and Florida. And I do believe that those are still open and those are doing well. But, so it's kind of a mixed bag with working with Peter Thomas. But we shall see if Wendy does end up opening up a Nigerian lounge. I am interested. Okay, so, Wendy also, what I want to say on her, because I just spoke on Peter, with Wendy, we all know that she is articulate, educated, and hardworking, but I don't think that she knows anything about entrepreneurship. I believe that her specialty is commenting on political news. I don't know what she earned her PhD and master's in, to know her total educational background, but she's never given or said that she has an MBA, a master's in business administration or has a degree in finance. So I'm just not getting business skills from her. But so, she may want to really consult with someone who also has the educational background like her and can actually talk to her about investing in a business. I think I just gave you a storyline, Wendy. If you can connect with any of the investors on Shark Tank and we could see that on Potomac, that would be really cool. So then we have Karen's spring fling slash celebration of life, and it actually closes out episode 1 and then it begins episode 2. So we see Giselle triggering Mia by asking if she posted her health scare on Instagram to get attention. And in, of course, true Mia fashion, she says, F you. And Giselle understands the assignment. She confronts people in a way to get them to pop off. I do feel like Giselle is a master at that. Again, her line of questioning, it's interrogation, like she works for the FBI or she's on Law and Order or the Family Business. She really hammers you. She crosses boundaries. She gets a little disrespectful. You pop off. And then she still doesn't get the answers to her questions, which I don't think Giselle cared about anyway. So then the party continues at Karen's event, complete with Katie Ross grabbing Ray Huger's butt. And Katie kind of went too far. And her appearance was a concern also. And that's all that I'm going to say right there. Of course, I don't know what's happening actively currently in Katie Ross's life, but I am concerned about her state of mind and her health. And I think many people share my thoughts on that. But I do wish Katie Ross well. And I do hope that, all of her needs are met and that she does get to talk with and see her kids on a regular basis. I do not know her status on that, but I do know that a few years ago that was a challenge for her to see her kids. So I love Karen. I'm going to go back a slide. I love Karen because she is so hilarious. So she actually made a speech at her spring fling slash celebration of life. And she started off good, saying that everyone looked beautiful. She said, "You all are eating and drinking and enjoying yourselves," And then she said that the grand dame was back. And the ladies, they all read my mind in their confessionals when they questioned, "Where did she go?" Wendy said, "Did she run to the liquor store and come back?" I just thought that was so funny. And usually, especially in the Black community, when you hear the term celebration of life, that usually refers to a funeral. So it was so funny. The producers, they actually called it Spring Fling slash Celebration of Life slash Karen's Taco Party. It was just hilarious. But Karen brings that like authentic. She kind of reminds me of like, and this is no, it's going to come off as shade, but it's a compliment to me. She's kind of like a mixture of Sex and the City and Golden Girls, which Golden Girls is just an older version of Sex and the City. As a matter of fact, the characters on Sex and the City, they're now like the same ages as like the women of Golden Girls when that show started. Like I believe on Golden Girls, the women started out in their 50s. And I think that's where they are now on Sex and the City. But anyway, Karen gives me the fashions. She gives me the sense of humor. She gives me the wisdom and maturity of like both Sex and the City and Golden Girls. So I love her. So then, we see Giselle and Robin meeting up. Now, ideally, when Giselle and Robin get together, it is like, they're discussing something that they're going to pull, something that they're going to approach someone about. And of course, here, Giselle expresses to Robin that Chris made her uncomfortable when he was talking to her. She took it back to the last season reunion when he was getting mad at some of the comments and questions that were coming at Candace. And Giselle took that smoke as if it was for her. And then she said that Chris confronted her in her dressing room at the reunion set, and it was just the two of them, and she thought that that was inappropriate. Now, I will say this. I know that it's Giselle. I know that people don't like her for how she quote unquote attacks marriages. Again, I say it's her line of questioning. But Giselle, I feel like she is a little bit right in terms of the optics. According to her, Chris was talking to her, at the reunion set in her dressing room. It was just the two of them. He's a married man. I do feel like there should be some sort of third party. She thought that her glam team would still be in the room, but they were not. So that threw her off. And it's just because some men ain't shit, bottom line. So you don't want to be alone with a married man and he tries something and then, they'll lie on you if you try to expose them and say, "Look, he is disrespectful. He disrespected me," which means he's disrespecting his wife and his marriage. So I do feel like when Chris, as a married man, is talking to a single woman, there should be somebody else in the room, and then he does need to watch the slipping into the DMs in the middle of the night. And we're going to get into that in a moment. So then we see Ashley sitting down with Candace, and she is actually letting her know that Chris actually slipped into Ashley's DMs at 2:42 a.m. as a response to her IG story. So number one, kudos to Ashley for respecting Candace's boundaries and not bringing this up in front of the entire group. I think that it shows that Ashley has a sincere desire to try and get to know Candace and try and be her friend. So she's not trying to get on Candace's bad side by bringing this up in front of everyone. So it's a one-on-one. So that's a great idea. Number two, I am a mixed bag about this as well. Now, did Chris DM Ashley during the typical booty hour call zone? Yes, he did. Those are booty call hours, 100%. I am guilty. I've gotten booty texts, booty calls at that hour. That's clear as day. Okay. He was responding though to an IG story. We've all responded to IG stories as well, and we've all been up late and you're just like scrolling through Instagram And so you can't help if you're still up at that hour. Candace even reacted to Ashley and said, well, he was still at work and he does still work at that hour. And Ashley said, oh, I didn't realize that that's like his work schedule. So then they pretty much squashed it because it was like, okay, that's why Chris responded at that hour. He was still awake, working, or had just gotten off. And then, he says you should have come to the W where he works. So in this case, I do think that it was more innocent than anything. The problem with the Giselle situation, when he talked to her face to face alone at the reunion set, is that we don't know what took place, no witnesses, no other background other than he was a little ticked off at her, I think. And so it's literally just going to be her word against his. All right. So then, oh my gosh, we have this scene. So Ashley invited the ladies to a high heels class. And Giselle decides to tell Candace that Chris was in her DMs and made her uncomfortable. Now, Candace totally became upset. And I want to say this, that I do believe that it was compounded because we just saw where Ashley confronted, not even confronted, Ashley informed Candace, let her know that her husband was in her DMs at 2:42 a.m. And she didn't want to hide anything. She told her respectfully. She did it in a one-on-one scenario. So I think Giselle approaching her, I think Candace was thinking, well, damn, what is this? So now she's feeling like her husband is being attacked. So I actually do understand Candace's natural reaction. And she totally interrupted the scene, or is what you know to be breaking the fourth wall of reality TV. That is when you're not pretending like, to break the fourth wall is to not pretend that, you don't see the cameras, or there's no pre-production, or when you do your confessionals, you're commenting on something that has already happened, but you're talking about it in the present. When you're being like, no, real time, that's breaking the fourth wall. So Candace interrupted the scene by leaving it. She left Giselle right there on the floor or on the dance floor, okay? And she told the executive producer, Eric, that her husband won't be attacked to do that to Michael Darby. Now, I do feel like Candace went too far by saying, do that to Michael Darby, because Michael has absolutely nothing to do with Chris slipping in women's DMs. That's all Chris's actions. But I do think that Candace's reaction was a very human one. And by now, we all know that her mouth can get reckless once she's mad, once she is pushed to her breaking point. And I will say this, that these past couple of seasons, I am slowly getting to know Candace Bassett a little bit better. I just recently started following her on Instagram after she went live last week with Portia Williams. And I saw them talking about relationships, and Portia was vibing with her. So I decided to follow her, and I streamed their live here on Show Style and Spirit. Please check it out. So I definitely, want to get to know more about her. And with her being, absent from Monique Samuels, it just makes it easier to get to know Candace. So this is how episode 2 ended. Now, again, I did some highlights for you. With me, I only recap TV show episodes as they move me, as I feel some significant things stand out, if they made me laugh, if they were touching. But definitely, please let me know your thoughts on what I did discuss from these 2 episodes. Are you getting to know Candace better now? Now that we don't have Monique on this show, have you always been a fan of Candace? Did you always understand her? And do you think Giselle really cold-heartedly attacks marriages, or does she just kick people when they're down, when she thinks that they're down? and she just hammers them almost like a bully. Let me know your thoughts about these first two episodes. I really appreciate the support. I know my channel is growing at a very slow pace, but I am thankful for that pace. Thank you for watching this video. Please like it. It helps me. It kind of causes YouTube to recommend my channel to others. I know that you hear people say, oh, it helps the algorithm. I just want to elaborate and says that with the likes, it actually gets people to see my channel as like a recommendation for them. Thank you so much. And I hope that you have a great day. It's Wednesday, a Wednesday morning. We are almost halfway through the work week. Once we're because I'm like a numbers girl by nature, once we're in the middle of today's work day, we're not only 50% through this work day, but we're 50% through the work week. Hallelujah. All right, you all take good care. Bye-bye.